Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming for our session. This is our second online session and the first with all partners. This is Erasmus project, Ecofeminism, work towards an equal and green youth. This is a partnership of 5 countries, 5 organizations: Eurosud from Italy, 𝗙𝗡𝗟𝗓𝗓 from Portugal, GTF Initiative for Sustainable Growth from Croatia, Association Juvenil Yaron Club from Spain, and also 𝗙𝗡𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗄𝗏 from Estonia. Today we will have 3 invited speakers that will share with us their experience in ecology, feminism, and climate activism. The first speaker will be Mary-Ann Rukavina Cipetić. I will do a brief presentation about Mary-Ann. She has worked in civil society in Europe and USA as international board member and project coordinator. She served as diplomat in missions to Bosnia and Herzegovina for elections. She has also established the GTF Gender Task Force as a multi-stakeholder international initiative. And she is also an expert to the Croatia, Macedonia and Montenegrin governments in the field of employment, rural development and entrepreneurship of women. Currently, she is heading several projects related to circular economy, ecology and entrepreneurship of youth and women. Now I will present our second speaker. He is Yusuke Sakai. Is an SDG articulator, contact point of the Just Transition Work Group of YONGO, the Youth and Children Constituent for United Nations, and also part of GDS, Together for Sustainable Development, another organization, and project coordinator and currently a law student at the University of Porto. Our third speaker will be Bruna Galani, an ecofeminist researcher. She is master student in history and international relations and cooperation at the University of Porto, has already a double degree in international relations from University of Lusíada and University of Curitiba in Brazil. She is vegan and she did many volunteering in the field of women's rights and cultural arts. So now the floor is yours, Mary, and for all speakers 10 minutes, please, we have time to do more questions. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Luísa, and hello to everyone. Thank you for your attention. I have gotten such a great introduction. I don't have to say too much more. So you heard a little bit about my background. I was born in France and raised in America, my youth, early youth and childhood, and came to Europe again in 1994, where I was a activist, a women's rights activist, and got engaged in civil society work in the time of the conflict, armed conflict in Croatia and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, later in other countries as well, unfortunately, in the late 90s. My background with working with women, but also in NGOs and activism, women's rights, but also related to women and violence in particular. And it was, for me as a young woman at the time, important to advocate for change to the international policies regarding treatment of women in conflict areas, and was able to work directly with the survivors of war violence, in particular women and children, but also to advocate all the way up to the UN level to ensure that women victims of violence, in particular sexual violence, were that this was treated as a war crime, not just as a by chance thing. So this was my activism in the 90s, in the early and mid 90s, and this experience really changed my life. It's even working with survivors and victims is not is something some people do all their lives. It, however, inspired me to move into a proactive way of working with people, in particular women, to try to empower and strengthen women to not become victims and survivors, and to change the whole the paradigm of making changes by force and making women and children be victims. So this brought me to engagement, as you heard, as a diplomat for some years. And out of that diplomatic career brought me back to civil society with this GTF, Gender Task Force Initiative for Sustainable Growth, which was established by 12 countries of Southeast Europe together. I was the co-founder, and it later became an NGO based in Croatia from 2001. So from 2001 onwards, I've been working mainly on empowerment and advocacy and policy level improvements for sustainable, inclusive development. And in most recent years, a lot with rural development, as you heard, and in particular, this whole circular and sustainable approach. It's really important in this regard to include men and women on an equal basis, and to ensure that women leaders are and their potential leadership, that women as leaders and their leadership potential is achieved to the maximum possibility. And this, I think, is important to, as women as underrepresented and still in our society, perhaps with a lot of prejudice, still for women in leadership positions, to empower in particular rural women and disadvantaged women, and young women, also giving them opportunities to co-develop their society. So this is now not 10 minutes, but it is some kind of an introduction. I think that some of you may have been to visit us in Croatia. I hope that some of the people here, with Christina from our organization, and you had a chance then to see that we are working also not just exclusively with people and their potential, even though human potential is really important, but also with the environment and with, in particular, with our work in permaculture, which is not just a philosophy, is not just a gardening or agriculture way, but also is a broader philosophy of encouraging a sustainable development approach to community development and involvement, and also with care for nature, and a way, also very productive and useful way to empower rural communities. The rural community we are based in, just to wrap up, is one of the 5 least populated regions of the European Union. This is bad news, of course, because it was not so, it has not always been like this, but in recent decades, but in particular in the last few years, departure of youth, men and women from the rural area is a real challenge for us, and we are looking to be social innovators and creatively find ways to return the population, and of course to increase the capacities of and participation of the population that is here, because the community has been largely devastated by this departure of the population. And So we do a lot of local work also, in addition to our, let's say, international and national advocacy and activity. So I think I'm close to the time, and I think maybe I finish a minute or two earlier to leave for you an opportunity when you tell us it's the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So now we will hear some from Yusuke Sakai.
Thank you so much, Luísa, and congratulations for the organization of this event. And I mean, wow, Miss Mary, like maybe I will not have that much knowledge of yours, but I guess I was invited here to share a bit of the perspective of a young person and try to answer this question of how should I start our engagement on a climate aid to implement the agenda of the 2030 agenda. And so I guess I wanted to bring this perspective of how I started my engagement till now, and also bringing some key messages that I think that was useful, and hope that some of those messages could help you some way, somehow. All right. If not, you can just discard. But let me tell you from the beginning that this path of like climate and SDG engagement, it's something new. And I guess most of the time we don't see a ready-made path for us. I was a law student when I started in 2019 in Brazil. I was born in Japan. I lived my whole life in Brazil, and I'm currently based in Portugal. But and when I was a law student, it was always my first anxiety to say what I'm doing here. And I wanted to do projects. I wanted to be with the community. I wanted to do actions. And I saw my friends going to, want to be a lawyer, want to be a judge, and their path was clear. Mine wasn't clear. And the first thing that I found was the research about sustainable cities, instrument called urban operation or consortium operation and law. I didn't understood on the first sight what this instrument was, but I jumped in because there was a sustainable development. And there I understood the complexity of sustainable development, and the Agenda 2030. It's one of the achievement that the humankind made, in my opinion, because it's a universal language that more than 193 countries agreed upon, and we have this holistic view of the construction of a future that we want. And during my research, I did 2 years of research, and I wanted to go beyond. So I started to try to bring this theoretical knowledge into action. So started to talk with the municipal council, and I didn't saw any group of the university. So I made the first sustainability group of students and professors, a small discussion and stuff, and also to be in contact with the UNDP once. And it was very interesting. And in this time when I was writing a project, I get in contact. I discovered this organization that calls United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network. After I will give all the links that may interest you to the engagement. And there I was selected, was one of the 100 fellows to elaborate a project. And the project, it was together with the sustainable young people together to the sustainable development. And it's a conference organization where we bring together the civil society, the public authorities, the enterprises, and the young people together to discuss this agenda. Because in my city, what we saw that there's a huge division between, for example, there's a lack of interaction between young people from territorial area and young people from the more wealthier areas, or dialogues between public authorities and the civil society. And as all we know, the public participation, a participatory governance, is a requirement in order to promote the sustainable development, because sustainable development requires a systemic approach and lots of minds linking together. So, and now in total, we engage till now like 400 young people, and now becomes a program. And in this pathway, I met with lots of people, and this is the funny thing. We don't see the path. We made the path during the pathway. So I hope that this releases a bit of your anxiety, and I meet people. So I was invited to organize the National Climate Conference, the 𝗙𝗀𝗟𝗡𝗘 in Brazil. and one of the partners, she invited me to go there, and I invited her to work here. And so for 2 years also, I organized a conference for your youth on the national level. And in this story, I met an Indian girl that invited me to the Yongo. Yongo is the Youth and Children constituency of the UNFCCC. UNFCCC stands for United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Is the main body of the UN system that takes decision on the global climate governance, and are those that organize annually the COP, the Conference of Parties, that happens every year since 1992. To discuss and take decisions. And if, for example, if you know Paris Agreement was a result of a COP in Paris in 2015. So, and there, in order to make this governance system more participatory, they have 12 civil society constituencies. For example, BINGO stands for Business and Industry, NGOs, RINGO, Research and Independent. There's also WGC, the woman and girl constituency, and one of them is Yongo, the youth and children constituency. And there we work in a working group. And I'm now, after years, I'm now have this pleasure to be a contact point on a just transition and green jobs working group. And for this also, like it was a lot of, and then the last year, I had a pleasure to be selected as one of the 25 young people in a program during the Bonn Climate Conference. And also, I guess it was a big moment for me, because there's another, say that kind of enlightened me. It was my friend that told me, hey, when you're jumping to unknown, when you're making your path, you often feel sometimes, am I prepared enough? Am I competent enough? Am I enough, to take this position or stuff? And she told me, you have to prepare the most in the quickest time. You have to shoot, and after you aim. So I guess this is a very nice way to say, in a sense of, if you climate activism, it could be climate activism or advocacy, or if you want to become a social entrepreneurism, that is or a sustainable entrepreneurism, we start from a pain, a social or environmental, political, cultural pain that we feel and that we want to put forward, And when we go and put forward, it's exactly this. We have to prepare the most. You can do research. Let's find out. Well, let's find if there is any possibility of volunteers that we have here. And if we don't have these opportunities in our city, let's create a new one. My first group was just me and my friend and my professor. And then after, we could engage like 400 in 2 years, And then we prepare the most in the shortest time. We jump in, we hop in, and then we're gonna adjust our way. And you're gonna find key persons who can give you advices, or you're gonna find key persons who can bring you in this bubble, because sometimes, unfortunately, climate discussion are made in bubbles, and we have to enlarge this bubble. We need really like this diversity, a space of diversity, and also like be careful when with our bias that we have. Mainly, in this context, we are young people from a kind of global north, let's say, and we often could have this bias of of kind of colonizing, But anyway, this is another topic. And then you're gonna find a way, I guess, somehow. Some people will appear to light your way. Some people will not be that patient to teach you the way, but there's always people there. So, and then I guess finally, it's consistency, and always worry about how we can, respond to this pain and provide a solution, but a solution that must be a long-term solution. I guess this is very important. We see a lot of young people with lots of projects, but it's kind of worrying sometimes to see projects that are made. It's flash, and they are present as the best case in the conference, but the community didn't take a long-term advantages, benefits of this project. So always having this concern of how we can bring a solution that the community that we can empower the community, and that they can take this solution and to themselves in the base of the right to development and the right of self-determination. I guess this is also an important thing. And the rest I will lead to the Q&A session, and I guess I hope that we have a fruitful discussion. Yes, 10 minutes exactly. I'm counting on it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Back to you, Luísa.
Thank you so much, Suk, for this perspective and the necessary of a holistic approach, and how we can start sometimes doing by volunteer, and how impactful and powerful could be this beginning and these small steps that we can do in our lives as activists and as beginners activists. So thank you, and we will pass now to Bruna.
Hello, everybody, and thank you once again, for the invitation and also for the presence. My name is Bruna Galani da Silva. I'm from Brazil, but I was in Portugal for 4 years. And my main area of study is international relations. But inside that, my research agenda, it's about feminism, more specific, the ecofeminism. And I'm really happy to be here. So I think it's a really nice project. And to talk about that, it's really important. And to have this amazing opportunity to discuss. So now I am currently working in the University of the Master University of Applied Arts in Vienna, which I am very delighted to, because in my life I see the practice of ecofeminism through education, and this is my main area of practice, the theory that I studied. So I think regarding my academic area and professional, it's in short terms that, and specifically talking about ecofeminism, and more specific into Latin America, from Brazil, a Brazilian perspective of it, is that in general, ecofeminism talks about the feminist perspective plus the environmental and animal studies. And this is the main difference between this kind of arm inside the feminist theory. And the main goal is to research and to find out the interconnections between the theory and practice, and that the logic behind all types of and different types and styles of domination is the same. This can be like the main let's see, in short terms, what ecofeminism is about. So understanding that we explore exploitation of the nature, it's unlimited in terms of resources nowadays, the control of the nature for the humans, benefits, and also the exploitation and objectification of nature and woman. And taking that in consideration, the proposal, what ecofeminism aspire to, and what's the main goal of it, is to build a new way for us to see the world that we live in, and a new way to see it that is less two main words. I can say it's anthropocentric. That means not just focus on the humans, but in a more integrated perspective, taking in consideration the nature as a whole. and less also androcentric, that it's like not taking just the male and his experience as the center of the measure that guides life. So the gender is something that also the theory takes and holds to it, like the disconstruction of that. At the same time, understanding the vulnerabilities and singularities of each place, each region of the world. So not just Europe, but also Latin America and the other continents. And inside these continents, the difference that exists between the countries, and seeking especially promoting the reflection, seeking action attached to it. And now talking specifically in Brazil, there's some authors that I read a lot, and I continue following up their research. And I think that it would be nice, and maybe after it I can share proper the names and the books. That is Daniela Rosendo, and she wrote 2 books that combine lots of different perspectives of academic research that are happening in Brazil. And the name of it is Ecofeminism, Theoretical Foundations and Intersectional Practices. And she was the one that organized the collection of articles, and then came out this book, and it's very enriching. Maria Alice da Silva, she writes about animal rights, ethical, political, and legal foundation, which is a very interesting perspective inside ecofeminism. And there's also a platform that is focused on the education, and also lots of courses, that it's called As Pensadoras. And they came along the year, like they construct a huge kind of different courses along the year with different perspectives as well, bring along different professionals from different institutions inside Brazil, which is a very interesting thing, like for a multicultural and diverse approach on it. And another 2 that are more classic, let's say like this, it's Ivone Guevara and Sueli Carneiro. So these are the main authors that I already got in touch, and the platforms that is very enriching. And there is also one specific thing that usually in ecofeminism we talk about the typical movement that happened in India at India during the 70s, that is regarding the preservation against the deforestation of the Himalaya. But also in Brazil, we had a very interesting movement that it's called March of the Daisies. And they are made for women that work in the rural area of Brazil, talking and protesting about everything related to that. So it's a really nice example of activism in Brazil, especially taking like women in consideration, the proportion of it. It happens since the 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a very nice example. So I think in short terms, to take the minutes in consideration is that. And of course, I'm looking forward for our discussion, and also any questions, we can keep talking in the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruna. Thank you all, our three speakers. Now we have time, a few minutes for questions. I don't know if you already have some questions on our chat. I need to remove. Okay. Is there any question?
Bruna, I would like to, it's not actually a question, but I would like to make some reference. I don't know what to call it, but my name, should I turn the camera on or can I speak with my camera off?
It's okay, no problem.
So my name is 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗃. I live in Angola, and I have worked for a long time in the international cooperation. Not anymore, but I like to still work in my free time. And recently I did a evaluation of a final evaluation on a project on the south of Angola, working with resilience in climate change. And I congrat a lot this energy that these young people, like the previous talkers, on research, academic research, and organizing forums and international and national forums. But I heard you that to come and look at climate change consequences in the eyes, like I don't know, this doesn't get to the media. Well, there's a report of Amnesty International from 2021 now that estimates the number of climate refugees from Angola to Namibia on 7,000. And I'm sure there are more now. There's evidence that there are more now. And you get to these rural villages in south of Angola, and you see only women and elderly people. Children, women, and elderly people. And when I hear the term ecofeminism, I only think that these girls in these rural villages need to know in practical terms what that is and put it in practice, because they have nothing to eat. They are in extreme poverty. The elderly have the knowledge on farming, but now climate changing is like, the signs are all odd. Like this insect, when it used to appear, it used to say that it was going to rain, or this bush, when this, that, they knew the signs, but the signs don't match anymore. So nothing grows, because it rains too much or it rains too little, and there's no solutions, there's no answers. I don't know if it's me that lack the information, but there's no real answers, real solutions, not even experimental ones, to put in practice community resilient actions to fight climate change and secure food for people, because these are communities in extreme poverty. So come to the field, come to Africa, come to Angola, and research and show ecofeminism to these girls that don't have any inch of opportunities in front of them. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel. Do you have any other question or comment? No? Anything that you want to know about the experience of our three speakers? Yusuke, you want to say something?
No, I just want to thank Raquel, and I just wanted to echo her voice. I was born in Japan, so my reality is global north. And one of the exercises that we did during my experience in Bonn was to discuss about this colonizing bias that we do have. So I guess And it's really, this is really true. I guess when I came to Europe, it's something that is bizarre. Is we often forget, or we often, I'm so sorry. Sometimes it's difficult to take action in realities that we don't see. And I guess this awareness that us, mainly from the global north, must have is fundamental. Even in the context of Brazil, we have a diverse context. We have a area or geographic area. It's a reality of global north and the reality of a global south. And we often, even if we are like in a good faith doing actions, taking our actions in our volunteers, in our work, in our stuff towards climate, we can incur in those biases and commit mistakes. For example, proposing a solution that it's outside in. So I guess how we can close this gap between those realities. And if you have opportunities to visit in a field, I guess it's the first step, and find ways to learn, to listen, and to learn and seek ways to cooperate with people with those realities. I guess I don't know, it's very important. What do you think, Miss Mary? I guess in this perspective, what we can do better to have a global, like in the spirit of a global citizenship, how we can, I don't know, connect with those realities and how we can build a common action.
Thanks, Yusuke. If it's okay for me to comment a little? Okay. No, I just wanted to speak more from the side of being someone who has spent her whole life in activism, and with the challenges of my youth activism still resounding today. So I mean, it's a different it's a different language you're speaking, but it's the same context, and we're still revolving around a lot of the same issues. And I don't say this because it causes frustration, but rather it's more about maybe this kind of struggle that unites us. So it's something universal, and it's something that affects many generations and will still affect many generations. And so I'm glad to be a part of this framework and to give support to young people, activists that are taking up these challenges. And this is a wonderful format as a project, but also this global communication, which makes it possible for us to link together like this and to support each other. So thanks.
Thank you so much. Another time to questions. And if you have not more, Rita.
So good afternoon. I am very inspired for listening to all of you. It's so good when we listen to people that have goals, that have objectives that are good for society, and that are thinking not only of themselves, but also in community. And I also was thinking about all of you said, and also the intervention of Raquel, that it was an inquietation that I felt after listening to all of these. So we feel inspired that we need to do. So I would like to ask you if it is somehow to be an activist and somehow to do things that are necessary, that we need to have this kind of passion for the things. And maybe because we are talking, and maybe I think that this session will hopefully inspire people to do. How can we create, or how can we inspire this young generation to feel this connection with nature, to try to connect more? Because I'm talking today, people that live in the city don't have this connection to nature. So how can maybe we create these activities? how do you feel that maybe there are things that we can do also that can create this connection, and then maybe after this connection is created, people will have more awareness regarding all these questions. And also that is another thing, that is how can we also how can we also create this awareness regarding the other realities, because it's not easy to how can we do this. So this is question that I do to myself. Sorry, I know that there is no answers maybe, but maybe just to share what are you also think about this. Thank you, and thank you so much for all the interventions. It was very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you all. We have not more questions. I will close the session, and thank you. Sorry, Rita. Oh, we have another question. Evelyn De Luca.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Evelyn, youth worker from Italy, and thanks for the speeches done before, very interesting one. I wanted to ask, according to you, how do you think we can ensure that these kind of projects are sustainable in a long-term run? And how can we really pass the message that we cannot talk about sustainability if we don't talk about social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability? Thank you.
Thank you. And then Rita. Okay, so Rita, I think that you raise your hand, but no. And Marianne, okay.
Yeah, I would maybe be, thank you, Evelyn. I would like to be a little bit provocative and say there is no such thing as a sustainable project. It's by its nature a short-term thing, intervention, extraordinary intervention, but we are sustainable. What we connect and what we do, regardless of a project per se, the kind of links we create and the efforts we make that are inspired inside the project, and that the project gives us a nice frame to link up and to share and to inspire each other. But on the other hand, by itself, it's not a sustainable type of things. But what we as people interested in activists can do is and must be sustainable. So hope it was not too provocative answer.
Thank you, Marianne. So if we have not more comments or questions, I think that I would like to thank you all. Okay, again, Bruna. Sorry, Bruna, go ahead.
Thank you for all the contributions too. And one thing that mixing the statements and the talk that crossed my mind is that something that I faced when I was at the beginning of my research project, and because I started in Brazil, and most of the literature was or in English or in Spanish, and to get access to it, sometimes, like, if we are able to speak English now, we forgot that, for example, in Brazil, it's kind of a luxury for you to speak in English. So it's not something that most of the population got access to, the knowledge, to the information. And it was something that I was thinking about. Oh, yes, like we have many examples of practice of it, and people are not even aware that they are doing an ecofeminism practice, because they don't know about it because they don't have access to the knowledge or to the academic, talking about the academic area, like, of course. So one of my goals that inspires me, like, to keep doing that research, and I write in Portuguese, is to provide this an overview of what we have today about the ecofeminism in Portuguese language, because then it will be more, how can I say, like, more people will have access to that, and if they want or if they are curious about. So maybe this is one of the lines that we can apply to another language, to another countries, and because exists, and it's true, like a language barrier in that regard. So that's what's crossed my mind, and I think this is maybe one one of the actions that we can take.
Vem Angola,
Thank you.
Bruna. Vem. Isso fala português.
Thank you, Yusuke. Now, I think.
I imagine that we are going to the final considerations. Is that, am I understand properly?
Mhm,
All right.
mhm.
No, I mean, I don't know if we answered that question from Rita, or something about connecting, how we can connect young people to the fields, right, or to the nature, or something like this. And I mean, I don't have a proper answer, but I guess what the Raquel also bring here, and what is interesting here in a common line is this idea that actually Sérgio Vieira de Mello is one of the most known diplomat from Brazil, used to say, the reality is in the field. We need to go to the field because the challenges are in the field, and the people are in the field, and the changes happens on the field. So I guess from the perspective of what the European Union can do, for example, I guess my critics is, for example, an exchange opportunities. European Union has made great progress on providing Erasmus internship, those cross-country exchanges. But sometimes I feel that it's close to just the UN. I mean, EU. I'm sorry. Why not expanding these exchange programs to other countries too? How we can exercise more dialogue sessions, more exchange sessions from the global north and global south, because those dialogue sessions that we are having today here, and once I had opportunity to have this clash between these different realities, it's fundamental, and then I guess this is the best way, so we can learn how to overcome this bias that we have, learn how to overcome that, to understand the reality of the challenges, and finally learn how we can find ways to work together. So I guess maybe it's one of the things that we can be advocating to, how we can make these bridges from different countries. But I really was happy to hear the intervention of Raquel. I was really happy to hear the experience of Mary, and really happy to see Brazilian colleagues like Bruna and all the people here. I just have to thank you. And after, I will organize a slide, and maybe this could be useful for you, Raquel, some opportunities that you can be using as young people to. I'm going to try to summarize and share with you, share to Luísa. So
That's a very good, very good initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you also for answering. Yeah, because it was a question for all of you. So to listen to your point of view. So if Bruna and also Marianne, if you can also try to reply, I would love to listen to you, because I don't know, I feel that I still have, I would like to listen to you more.
Bruna, do you want to take the floor?
Your micro is muted. I don't know. I think that she's writing.
Okay. If I understood Rita, and please if I miss a point, I will be thank you if you can repeat the question. Like, but it's about the practice and how like to extend to the reality, how to get there, and to be more in the practice of it and not just in the theory. It is something regarding that.
Yes, it is what we can do, you know, to create that connection, to really do actions. And also, after listening to Yusuke, how also we can create these bridges, you know, from, you know, the to the at least to the global south, like Raquel was saying. How can we try, you know, to really do things and projects that creates impact? So this is me adding another question to the initial. I'm sorry.
No, thank you, Rita. Thank you very much. I think I can speak, of course, in my perspective of it. And one of the things that in all of our encounters during the Ecofeminist Erasmus program, but also it crossed my mind always that I am honored, and I was honored to be part of Porto Femme as a volunteer. And I have a strong belief like that not just my area is the academic one, and I try to do the changes and to reach as far as I can with academic research, with those interconnections that we can make during that forums, and also I got the opportunity to do that in my professional life now. But for example, and now I am in the artistic and human rights field, which I strongly believe in the power of the arts to do that, what you are saying. So in that, it's the connection that crossed my mind with Porto Femme, because you do, of course, this in Europe, because that's where you're from when you started your project to that. But for example, maybe in the future, taking that to another places to share like these, the productions, the things that are happening, to give voice to the and a space for sharing that voices. And through their artistic expressions, that's like just look and go to Brazil, and most of the people do art and they don't recognize themselves as artists. And I think this is, in my opinion, and according to my research, like one of the most powerful tools, and giving opportunity for those people to share this, if it is like through for the film festival or through forums, to the language, to trying to break down this language barrier. These are things that we can give people the perspective of it, and not just like bring to their reality, and for they to recognize themselves as change makers inside their own society, because it will be different. But if you say to them like, hey, here's an opportunity, or let's talk about this, have you ever saw this movie or this book, this continuous exchange. And then if we actually actively listen to each other and have empathy in that regard, I think we can make great changes. So in practice, more it's let's take Porto Femme like to another continent. And yeah, or ensure like give lights to another film festivals, to taking in mind that we are not competing to each other or fighting for space, because there is a space for everybody. And that's what I will continue in fight to, and learning also to do. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all. And Mary?
Thank you. I just wanted to add to Rita's question an impression that from our experience is really important to bring, well, let's say, working in a rural environment, which in terms of agriculture, where agriculture is very present, but it is considered a less attractive option. Maybe this is diplomatic to say. It even has a negative connotation to be a farmer. Subsistence farming and this kind of, wish for young people to not continue the way of their ancestors and to use these practices, which makes even potential food scarcity even in rural areas. I mean, it's a kind of scary reality, and dependence upon multinational companies or international or imports from outside for basic foodstuffs. We see a lot of the work with young people to rebrand, to rename, to take a new look at agriculture as a tool that can empower them. So this is maybe from the rural perspective, but it's also important for us to bring in the majority now, the urban population into this world, which they have practically no connections to anymore, and they can bring. They get, I would say, enriched by the experience, and I see personally that agriculture, sustainable agriculture, can be a route into nature and ecology. So it goes hand in hand. So this is maybe one of our ways to entry points, and definitely to break down these divides between generations, but also urban and rural within the same country. It's important for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that all of these and all of these issues are ecofeminism. I don't know if our participants previous had some knowledge about ecofeminism, if they want to share some experience on ecofeminism or have any question. I'm sure that now everyone has more knowledge about ecofeminism and how to start in this field and have a significant impact in our world. So maybe we can conclude our session. Thank you all. Thank you to our speakers and to all participants. And I wish you a wonderful day. And that's it. Thank you so much.